roll all up and down this country. I got cities named after me. I got a district named after me. Everywhere you go all across this country, people are saying, go CC, go CC, go. Go CC, go CC, go. Now, what I'm about to tell you is intended for mature audiences. So if you're immature, step off. Isabella.
All you all are here because you got the word, right? And the word started over there, Martin. Yeah. So I'm going to introduce you to the word of this exhibit, Colonialism, Miss Lili Bernard. And also I'd like to present Miss Ancestry.
A lot of curators will just reach out and get their friends, but Lili searched all over. She did a lot of reading, she did a lot of research. As you can see, she did a lot of body work and reached out to a lot of artists that she didn't know.
Do the Rodney King, say you do the Rodney King King. Can we all just get along? 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 Doing it in Compton, doing it in Brooklyn, doing it in Oakland, doing it in your town. I said you do the Rodney King, say you do the Rodney King King. Can we all just get along? Do the Rodney King, say you do the Rodney King King. Can we all just get along? Can we all just get along? Can we all just get along? Can we all just get along?
Smith, y'all.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Marcus Miller.
Thank you so much, Roger. Roger GUENVEUR SMITH. Let's give it up for Mr. GUENVEUR SMITH.
Thank you. Wonderful weekend here. Wonderful alternative that's going on right here from the ground up, from the grassroots. Thank you, Lili. Thank you, Zion.
I read so many Spanish accounts of what they did on the island of Cuba, as well as all these other islands, and then of course America. They just killed so many people, you know, feeling that this is the way to go instead of treating the people as the original inhabitants. So many people were killed. So this is what they did. So it's pretty self-explanatory. So,
what does being a Chicana artist mean to you?
I've been a Chicana artist for a long time, inspired by the Chicano movement, which was, you know, primarily artists who were and activists who were sick and tired of the educational system for Latinos and school system. And for about 15 years, I worked with Cesar Chavez and the United Farm Workers, doing all their banners, like for conventions, for demonstrations, for marches, and that involved a lot of meetings with Cesar. And then, you know, and then I met Dolores Huerta, and she's continuing the kind of work that Cesar did. And as a Chicana artist, I really feel fortunate to have an influence on the younger generation of women who are coming up, and letting them know that it's going to be hard, but because it's still a man's world. We're not only discriminated against as Chicanas, but as women, and you know, and it's just really difficult. It's really hard. So you have to be assertive, not aggressive, assertive.
I noticed your name, CARRASCO. Which came first, the Asco or the Carrasco?
Well, the Carrasco came first. My husband came second. I married one of the main founding members of Asco, Harry Gamboa Jr. And it was interesting because we're so different. Everybody was the whole art community made it their business to tell us how not right we are for each other. different. But 27 years later, I can care less.
Happily married.
Like the extension, or kind of like the dangling eye that is out in space now, looking, but you can never see what he sees. I was born in 1951 in Israel. It had just become the state of Israel in 1948. So it was still rocking and rolling from a very fresh enunciation of its statehood. Double turmoil and double battle. The battle that was closest to home and the one that became primary was the Jews fighting the Arabs to make a country for themselves. But behind that, there was also the war that they had just survived. It was the Holocaust, was Eastern Europe. And that exacerbated my question of how is history living inside me? My parents were old world Eastern European, my parents being Holocaust survivors, and all that stuff was totally, certainly part of my identity.
Does colonialism have any play in that at all?
Yeah, I mean, they were colonized. My parents were colonized by being put into ghettos. They were colonized by having to wear signifiers that pull them apart from everybody else. You know, the yellow star. They were colonized by kids calling other kids names at school. They were colonized for decades by the affective culture and how they were always running from some victimhood state. We were in Palestine and became Israel, and then we were in Montreal, Canada, which was French-speaking, and blah, 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 blah.
The title of the piece is called Fire Ants for Nothing, and it's a short video of a man affirming that he's not an ant, but we're really not too convinced about that. So, and in the end, he actually extinguishes himself. So, there you go.
You made those by hand?
Yeah.
You made that?
Yeah. Sure.
How did you make that?
Well, I don't know. You know, it made itself. Okay, this was from a series called Tunnel Vision. As they started to take corridors out of the ground, veins out of the ground that had been there for a long time, carrying liquids or whatever, water, and a lot of them had crustaceans on them. And I thought they were beautiful, so I did a series because of that. This is one of those pieces. You know. I was born in 1933 in Greenville, North Carolina. I grew up in an environment in the South, in a community at times that became rather cantankerous, simply because the laws or the statute at that particular time were extremely racist. It was very comfortable to say, for them to say, nigga, a nigga, and with no uncertainty, nigga, boys, never colored men. That was unheard of, you know.
Because I don't normally use pink. Well, I had a lot of pink for my niece. I was going to do one for her, and then she decided she liked purple.
Tell us about your throne. Why call it throne?
The throne. It's one of my favorite pieces I've made, and it came together in about 2 minutes. I was driving. I get my best ideas in the shower or driving in the car, just completely alone. It popped into my head, an afro, a huge afro, and so I found a big beanbag chair, and then I went to the wig shops on Crenshaw because I knew I was going to need at minimum 20 wigs.
You said you have a slave ancestor. Who was that?
Okay, it was Minda. Minda is my great-grandmother. She was married to Rumby Campbell. She was brought over on a slave ship that was all women. That was the story that she used to tell, and none of the kids ever wanted to listen to it. None of her grandkids wanted to listen to it. She was hard to understand because she had a really heavy Spanish accent. So they believe she either went to Puerto Rico or Cuba before she came to the United States and met Rumby.
My father's father was a Mambi. The Mambistas were the Cuban insurgent soldiers who fought against the Spaniards in Cuba's War of Independence from Spain. My abuelo was born almost 20 years before slavery ended in Cuba. He was born a pardo libre, which means free black man of mixed descent. His mother was an indigenous Cuban of the Siboney tribe, and his father was an Afro-Cuban. have so many paintings in my mind. The trick is always finding the time to execute them on canvas.
The trick to getting this done is speed and execution.
The painting you see out there of the slavery boat really happened. Part of a new series of oil paintings I'm making where I take classical European paintings which were created during the slave trade era. I'm sort of flipping them to tell Afro-Caribbean slave stories. The paintings are very rich with imagery of Afro-Cuban folklore, because I'm Cuban born. You'll see references of Ifa, which is the religion that the slaves brought over to Cuba. You'll see the Orishas mixed up with the Catholic saints and all that syncretization that goes on in Santeria. I use the ceiba tree as a thread in the series. The ceiba tree is considered to be a sacred tree. It's believed to house the souls of the ancestors.
I romanticize New Orleans. It lives in this beautiful romantic place in my mind, where it was the place of my grandfather and of his father and of my mother and father, where they met and fell in love, where I was born in 1957, 7 years before the Civil Rights and the Voting Rights Act was passed. So I was born into a segregated South. It has been attempted to be impressed upon us that the most powerful cultures are the lighter cultures. You know, the most powerful cultures are the cultures not just with the big guns and the one that carries the big stick, but the lighter you are in this society and other societies as well, the better chances you have to achieve power, and power is money.
So if I'm hearing you well, one of the byproducts of colonialism on the collective unconscious is a consciousness of color.
This is definitely a product of colonialism, absolutely. This color consciousness is not just something that's unique to the United States or to New Orleans, man. This is something that is all pervasive, you know, wherever European cultures have interacted with the native cultures. This piece, Theater of the Absurd, follows in that vein as well. It's an image of Al Jolson on his knees singing, "Mammy, I'm coming home to you, girl," you know, and his blackface getup. And so many of the, you know, white actors used blackface in a derogatory attempt to make themselves look black and sound black, and they, thank God they weren't black, you know, but they could adopt this caricature anytime that they wanted to in order to sell tickets to shows. So this piece, Theater of the Absurd, puts Al Jolson in this little mechanism, and what it is it's sort of a stereotype finders. And so whenever you encounter a stereotype in the theater, you know, you can, you know, take the electrodes out and touch it to the actor, and if he's a stereotype, the gauge will move and it'll register or something.
What happened to the good old days when Al Jolson was crooning, "Mammy"? Oh shit, but Al Jolson is already dead.
Okay, I'm RAKSHA, PAREKH. I was born in Zambia. I'm from southern Africa, third generation African Indian.
What is that?
This is the burnt sugar solution that I make my work from. And I cook it on my stove. Dipped in this stuff. It's like, I don't know if they think it's toxic or
How do you apply the sugar to the cotton?
I painted the sugar solution, I painted it on, and then I let it dry, and then afterwards I go and I create the image with another paintbrush with water, sugar solution, depending on how strong or weak I want it to be.
And that just happened by chance that you popped out this book?
Well, when you said Carl Jung, I'm very familiar with my library, and so that's why I brought it out, because it's very pertinent, you know, Baltazar. Well, I think in a way how it plays out is that we fit into these archetypes.
You want to bash me?
Do you consider yourself a Chicana, or is that an expression that doesn't encompass you?
I totally consider myself a Chicano because I'm Mexican-American, is politicized. My father was born in Mexico City, and my mother was born in Chihuahua. I was born in Los Angeles, here in Hollywood.
You want to put me down?
I've been very fortunate to connect with a lot of these older artists who have been a part of the Chicano art scene, operating, you know, within the art scene here in LA and the contemporary art scene. And sometimes it has a Chicano label, sometimes it doesn't, but you know, that base, those roots are still always there. It's a beautiful thing about that.
I saw your anti-colonialism show. Speaking about me in an unflattering light. Well, let me tell you this. I'm still on the charts, baby. Breaking hearts. Do they close the post office in your honor? CST has still got it going on. What are you laughing at?
I don't know, whatever, 10 years from now. Oh, and
You're
making a dollhouse? Let me see, Stephanie, is that a work of art, a dollhouse?
We're gonna take back America.
I work with oil painting, fabric, and printmaking. I have a small etching press here that I like to make dry point prints and mono prints.
We're gonna take back America. Oh yeah.
And what are these?
Here we go.
These are some dry point engravings that I did on my etching press.
Where's your etching press?
It's right over here.
Want to show it to me? That's your etching press?
This is my etching press. So cute.
Thanks for saying. And tell us about that piece.
I've been using maps to represent the pursuit of equity in the American dream. I made this dress by hand. All of the maps are hand sewn by me. You can see the stitch work is not perfect. It was really a lot of work.
Have you ever tried it on?
No, it doesn't fit me. I wish.
I'm the man with the map, and I'm the man with the rap. I got the Bible and the almanac. I got the Bible and the almanac.
And you sewed all of that?
Yes.
Can you show us some of the details?
All of the ruffles are handmade. They're all in the shapes of skulls.
The reason being?
This was for a Day of the Dead event. It's a tribute to my grandfather who also sewed all of his life.
Say that in Spanish, the Day of the Dead.
Dia de los Muertos.
And you made the hat?
Yes. These are all hand sewn as well. The base is chicken wire. It's shaped.
And her take on this was have a European land on your beach one day and forever you will be his property.
No colonialism discussion would be complete without at least a little mention of rape. Alright.
Let a European land on your shores and immediately he is chopping your hands off.
Who is she?
This is Glenda Mateo. This is one of my characters. She's the Mexican American. She's wearing her conquistador dancing on TV like she was a background dancer outfit. We got complete with mob and leaf blower.
And what does it say?
And it says, invited an American into your home today and tomorrow he is asking you to clean. Her role now, her culture's role now is cleaning up America.
Go CC, go CC, go.
Is that a 3D piece?
This is a 3D piece. When it's shown in the gallery, or if you were to get it on a card or anything like that, you'd have to use anaglyph 3D glasses. Those are the blue-red ones, like this, to be able to view it and get the 3D effect. So these will be in the gallery for you to see the piece. Someone who's half Native American myself, I'm like, why are you complaining? You got conquered. I mean, you conquered my people, but from the other side of the country, so how's it feel? So my grandfather was all Native American. My receding hairline proves he wasn't. Like he was part white. But he was all Native American, and he had papers to prove it. And when he married a black woman and started raising mixed kids, that's when he got kicked off of the reservation. No. I mean, this is an awesome thing about American history, is that as the conquerors, white culture for the most part had two views about Native Americans: kill them or integrate them. And their views about blacks, African Americans, Negroes was keep them separate, but don't kill them all. We need them for later. This piece was the cover, sans masthead, obviously here, for the Citizen LA art magazine for downtown Los Angeles for the November 2008 issue. They actually commissioned the cover beforehand, and they, like me and many other people, were really hopeful that Obama would win, so this wouldn't be a Dewey wins, as John McCain Truman would stand up holding it. And we weren't disappointed. It came out about 3 days before the election. And they had asked me to make a cover celebrating Obama's victory. They asked me also to use my characters.
What is the impact of colonialism on your life?
If it wasn't for colonialism, I wouldn't be here.
Any family stories of your slave ancestors, or who was a slave?
My grandfather was a slave. He was originally part of the Atkinson plantation. He was sold to Middlebrook. Middlebrook was one of the largest owners of slaves in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. There's a lot of Middlebrooks there. So my grandfather took the Middlebrook name. He had actually earned his freedom from Middlebrook, the plantation owner. I don't know exactly what the situation was, but he had received his papers, and he had actually joined the Blackfoot tribe, and he was actually considered himself more of an Indian. He was in the Spanish-American War and went to Cuba. He was a Buffalo Soldier. So, and then after that, he came back and he moved his family from Atlanta to Chicago, where my father and his brother were raised.
Is that the Middle Passage?
Yeah, that's what this piece represents here. What it does, it represents a map of the Middle Passage, where at different directions, these are representative people going in different parts of the Americas, also into Europe. What they did with the slaves has affected everybody.
My sister has joined the U.S. Marines.
Is that her over there?
Yes. So when she was, how old was she then? Maybe 10, 8. It's difficult to kind of wrap your head around if you've grown up in a family that has been victimized, you know, historically, and now you've got the next generation that is involved in, you know, occupying other territories and victimizing in a way.
It's interesting, you're chastising her for being a soldier, and here you are with a gun in your hand. Can you explain that irony to me?
Yeah, I think I've never held a gun except for this piece, and I feel like it was my way of empathizing with my sister who joined the military.
Isabella. Gonna make you richer than Rockefeller, Isabella. It's not gonna be a bitch richer, Isabella.
My name is ZEAL Harris. I was born in Los Angeles. However, I grew up in Virginia from the time I was about 1 year old. I grew up in Southern Virginia, in Hampton, actually in a small town called Phoebus that's within Hampton, Virginia. Kind of artist I am. Wow. Well, at this moment, I am using a lot of caricature in my work. That it's kind of like political cartoon and also a cross between maybe like some type of urban folk art vernacular thing, and it's usually colorful, relatively flat. It's often funny, and I rely a lot on daily life experiences and people's stories, as well as history or current events to make my work.
Isabella. Never mind about that other fella. King Ferdinand ain't no man. I'm the man with the plan. I'm the man with the South Africa.
Earlier today I was talking to a friend about this, and I was like, how do I frame the piece that I'm working on now in the context of the collective unconsciousness?
What is the piece?
The piece that I'm working on now, the subject is Kempavita from the Congo. She was a woman who lived between 1680 and 1705 or so. She's also known as the Congolese Saint Anthony or Joan of Arc. And what she did during that time was to begin a movement. She retold the creation story in a Congolese way that made all of the main players black. Jesus, Mary, many of the saints. Her rhetoric is thought to be some of the proto-first anti-colonial, black nationalism, pan-Africanist, reformist, distinctly African reformist rhetoric of that era.
I got the Bible in the almanac, and if you're an Arawak, you better step back or you're gonna catch a smack. If you're an Arawak, you better step back or you're gonna catch a smack. I got a neutron bomb. I got a sword and cannon. I got a Smith & Wesson 357 Magnum. I got a stealth bomber, and I'll drop it on your mama. This is the real deal, baby. This ain't no drama.